Hi, welcome. This is Sandy from Voices from the Streets. We're here at the Jefferson Street Bridge where we're feeding the homeless. Today we have a big crowd. We have probably over 200 people here that are eating. It's a nice day. It's been really hot, but today there's a little bit of a breeze. And I have my good friend with me. I have Tim Smith, also known as
Little O.
Little O. And so, Tim Smith, where did you get the name Little O?
It's because my uncle played on Andy Griffith.
And who was your uncle?
He played Otis Campbell. His name was Hal Smith.
And how did you get Little O?
You?
And you know what? And that's really pretty much because I can't remember names, but I can remember Little O. So Tim and I have known each other for how many years would it be?
I'd say probably about 3, maybe 4.
Okay, we've known each other for 3 or 4 years, and we met each other at one of the places where we either feed or there's sleeping arrangements, right?
Right. Actually, we met at Woodbine, which is one of the places that feeds and shelters to guys on Wednesdays and Saturday nights. And I met you, and at first I didn't like you until I got to know your spirit, and then it was like kind of cool.
And so why didn't you like me?
It was just something about you. I thought you were just, too prim and proper to be around the homeless. I don't know why, but I just felt like you were too prim and proper for the homeless.
So now you realize that I can hang in there with the best of you, right?
Well, whenever you're crazy as all the rest of them, why not?
So okay, that's okay. I've earned that crazy remark. So Tim, you and I have gone through a lot together. I've seen you with the ups and the downs. How long have you been homeless?
Off and on for since 2005. I was kind of like a refugee from Louisiana. I was part of the hurricanes and stuff, and
What hurricane is that?
Hurricane Katrina. And it's going on about 9 years now since I've been actually on the streets off and on. I've had housing, but because of my drinking and drugs, I just couldn't maintain it and stuff.
Okay, so what brought you to the Nashville area?
Well, I tried 3 or 4 different cities throughout the state of Tennessee and Georgia, and I just found Nashville was a place that had more opportunities to help with what I needed as far as, like getting housing. I've had some jobs, basically through tip services and all. But I think my biggest enjoyment of all was like 6 years ago whenever I said, okay, I'm through with the drugs, I'm through with the alcohol, I got to have something in my life, And God put places like Woodbine and Pastor Bob and other people in my life, to show me that there was more to living besides drugs and alcohol.
Okay, so how long have you been dry now?
Going on 10 years. After October the 15th, it'll be 10 years.
Wow, congratulations, because sometimes I know that every day is a struggle with that, and sometimes every minute is a struggle with that.
It can be, but there's only one connection that I have that a lot of people don't want to get connected to, and that's God. I mean, if you get God in your life and you got the support of friends and family like you guys, whom I consider my family now. Every one of these guys out here, even the homeless guys, I consider as family.
Okay, so there have to be times, because there's a lot of drinking with the guys on the street, so there have to be times when you're tempted.
It's very, very tempting at times, but it's just during those times I got to remember where I was and where I'm at now, within my walk with God. Whenever I got sober, God just didn't go into the gutter to pull me out. He had to go under the gutter to get me out.
Yeah.
I was so far under. What did you say? I was so far under the gutter that he had to literally go under there to get me.
It's really funny, Little O, because I am a life coach and I work with a lot of people with addictions, and it's amazing how it's what I have tagged the Robin Williams face. People are doing that behind closed doors, and it seems like we put that label on homeless when it's more acceptable for people to go in their homes and do it, but addictions run rampant.
Addictions is everywhere. I mean, it doesn't just refer to alcohol and drugs. It can be anything like shopping or stealing or whatever. Stealing can be one of the biggest addictions for the homeless people anyway, but more or less, it's if somebody sees something that you have is better than theirs, they're going to steal it and sell it just to get the booze and the alcohol and the drugs with.
Okay, and I have to ask you. I know that there's a lot of problem with stealing among the homeless. Do you ever feel like it's maybe because it's like a game to them, and even if it's not to sell it, it's almost like they want to see if they can do it?
I do believe that because, I mean, we have a saying on the streets, and I'm quite sure everybody's heard it before, where you may be putting your stuff up somewhere and you don't think nobody's around, but there's homeless eyes looking somewhere along the line, and they see where you put your stuff, and you may not see them physically, but they're there, and you know when you go back that, hey, it had to be a homeless person, someone that's not homeless would not just go into the bushes or whatever, wherever you put your stuff, and steal it, so you know it has to be a homeless person.
So Tim, what I take from that is that there isn't a safe place.
There's not. I mean, wish there was. Wish there was places that that was acceptable to where we could put our belongings, that it would be safe. Like, I don't know. Maybe like sheltering or something. Like somewhere. A lot of us guys are not permitted to go to the mission because we're either barred for one reason or another, or but basically, I carry my stuff on my back everywhere I go. So
I'm going to start calling you Turtle instead of Little O, huh?
You can call me Turtle O.
Turtle O. I like that. That's a good one. So what would you say, in all honesty, to let people know life on the streets is tough? I have seen you at your lowest. I have seen you where you have had it with life. I've seen you at times where you have been ready to end life. What are some of the things that have gotten you to that point?
Just reality, of how, there's not enough affordable housing, and if there is affordable housing, with me with a felony on my record, I can't get housing.
See, now, you know what? I guess I just found this out that Nashville is tagged not a felony-friendly state. That like Atlanta or Georgia and Alabama are considered felony-friendly, so they will hire people.
Tennessee is probably one of the worst states that I've actually been in, considering with that, because, if you got a felony, or in my case, any kind of mental disabilities, they're kind of hard with that too.
Yeah, so it's almost like, it's almost like they're a first chance state. I guess a lot of places, it's like we're not going to give people a second chance.
Right, and I feel that too, because there's just not, now there are some places, like the temp services and all, they kind of get by with the felony situation or whatever. But, you got these regular jobs like Walmart and places like this that won't hire you, because if you got a felony on your record, first thing goes to their mind is, oh my God, if he's got a felony, he's going to steal us blind, he's going to rob us blind and stuff.
So there's that prejudgment.
There's that prejudgment there even before they get to know that person personally,
Now I want to back up a little bit, because I know that I'd like people to know that Robin Williams brought to the forefront how depression is running rampant. It's no respecter of status, of homes, or homelessness. Depression is running crazy. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, a 22-year-old girl in my hometown in Minnesota took her life, and she was Miss Clearwater, so that's the name of the town. And she took her life, and in the newspaper, in the obituary, it said it was as a result of depression. And so now I think it's time to bring that out, saying most people suffer from some part of depression. Now, I've seen you can be one of the extremes. So share with us, when you're at your lowest, what is going through your head when you don't want to take another moment?
Just end it, put my life on hold, just end it. That way I wouldn't be a burden to no one. That seems to be the norm with my illnesses, with my mental illnesses, is whenever I get so depressed, it's like, okay, they wouldn't care if I was gone or not. No one would miss me, and that's... Okay,
so what is your mental illness?
I'm diagnosed with bipolar with paranoid schizo features. And with the bipolar, it details severe depression.
Right. Right. Depression is a big part of it. So, without getting too personal, but with getting very personal, because you and I are connected at the heart, tell me, what are some of the things that you have tried to do to leave this world?
Actually, the last attempt I made, which was a couple months ago, I was actually standing on the bridge, the Shelby Street Bridge, and I was like, okay, if I jump in the water, no one would care. You know, it'd be a big splash and it'd be over. You know, I've actually got a bullet wound in my chest where I tried to shoot myself, kill myself. I've taken overdoses of Tylenol, oxycodone, you know, just various ways, you know, to end it. I've actually, one day I left here on one Sunday afternoon, I left here and was so depressed that I laid down there on the railroad track wanting a train to come by and run me over.
Yeah, so that pain is really bad. And so when you get that pain, something's always stopped it. You from going through with it. Do you think deep in your heart, because you profess to love God, I have stuff you've given me, great jewelry and stuff about God. I have a lot of that stuff that's very, very dear to me. So why do you think that God has kept you here? He's not letting you go.
I'm here for a purpose. I don't know what it is, but God does. You know, and I believe that God has me here because there's a lot of people on the streets. They can see me and they may be having a bad day or whatever, and I can say something that just makes them laugh and they forget about what's going on at the moment, you know. And I think that's what God gave me that purpose for, not to be a comedian, but to be a spirit lifter.
Right, because I mean you have a lot of jokes, and I think mine are funnier than yours, but you have a lot of jokes.
That's your opinion.
Maybe that was one of my jokes, but anyway. So if you could let people know about anything, if you could have them pray for you for anything, what would be your request?
Right now, I've got kind of like two. I'm having surgery in a couple days on my back.
And what is that for?
Back in May, I broke my fourth and third.
Back in May? Back. Okay, we're talking about backs. Okay.
Back.
I am the funniest one.
That wasn't a joke, by the way. No, I fell and I broke my back and broke the fourth and third vertebrae in my back.
How long ago?
It was back in May. Okay. And so they've done two surgeries to kind of fuse them together. It's not working. We're hoping the third one works. If not, then they're talking extensive surgery. And I'm kind of scared about that, but, you know, that's something I want the people to be praying about.
Okay, so we're asking them to pray that you get through the surgery, that you heal.
Right.
Okay, and the second thing?
The second thing is that God will help us, not just myself, but us get housing, that we can afford housing and be a stable part of the community in the way that God wants us to be and not the way that we think we should be.
You know, little what I hear you saying is so many of the guys, and it's so many people in life where they just want a purpose and they want to feel like they matter. And I spoke to one guy who said, I can't even go into Panera because when I walk in, I don't deserve to be in there.
I feel that way at some of the places I go to. Like, I'm a caffeine drinker, you know, and I feel that way when I go into Panera's or Starbucks or whatever. But we do have a place down by the library, Provence. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. And one of the guys there, he sees us homeless guys out on the sidewalk, and he'll say, hey, come in and get a cup of coffee. And don't even charge us for it, you know. That's what brings my hope in people back.
So what sticks in your mind are the good people that help you. I mean, a lot of times on the street, you have so much of the negative coming at you. You know, the things people say, the way they treat you. But what would you say if you could tell me two things, good things that people have done for you that are just buried in your heart? What could you tell me?
I think the most important thing is you guys with Woodbine and the food situation, helping with food and stuff on a weekday. For some of us, this is the only meal we have.
Do you think it's the food or do you think it's a fellowship?
I think it's the love, not fellowship, not food, but the love. The love of people that care enough to say we care, you know. And the second thing I think would be the most important thing that sticks in my mind is one night I'm down on the bench, down by the park, and I was sleeping on this bench. And a lady and her husband walked up and didn't even know me from nobody. They were from out of town. And
They didn't know you from O?
they didn't know me from nothing. And so they walk up and they hand me $100 bill and they keep walking. You know, and it was like, okay. It never phantomed in my mind that someone would just walk up and say, here's $100. We don't need it no more. You know.
Yeah, you know what? That would tell me that they are listening to God, that they don't have to know why, but they were told and they were obedient.
I believe so, yes. I mean, because God works in mysterious ways. And, you know, the scripture says that he gives us angels unaware. And sometimes angels are here among us. Even if we don't see them, they're here.
And you know what? I think that's a good point, because a lot of people, when they think of angels, it's all of the wings and the whole bit. And I think that people have to realize that angel just means messenger of God.
Exactly.
And I shouldn't say just, that's huge. So you know what? You do have a lot of messengers of God. And so on that note, I want to thank you for being here today. And I'm going to let you put one more plea out to people all over the world. When they see a homeless person, what would you tell them to do? And I'm going to have them imagine that it's you who they've gotten to know that they're seeing. And what would you want to receive from them?
I would just say, you know, if you see a homeless person on the street, don't be afraid of them. Approach them with love and compassion and say, hey, I may not have never been where you are, but I can almost feel what you're feeling. You know, because everybody, jobs, no jobs, or whatever, is one paycheck away from being where we are anyway. You know, so don't be afraid of a homeless person. Don't be afraid to give them your heart, because that's what God wants. He wants our hearts.
So look them in the eyes and don't be afraid to acknowledge that they're people and to love them.
Right, exactly.
Thank you so much, Tim Smith, Little O. We were going to do this dance.
That's the perfect song, too.
I know, Desperado. Here from Under the Bridge, here it's Sandy Griffin from Voices from the Streets. Thank you so much for joining me here today with Tim Smith, Little O. And I'm just asking that, you know what, they want to be loved just like you and I. Think about it.